Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is RenderTechnician and welcome back to RenderTech Classic, playing FNAF 3 in this one. Might just show you the extras. So in this stream we actually did the true ending. We actually got to see everything. Here's all the animatronics. For some reason Phantom Mangle doesn't show up in these, I'm not too sure why. Yeah, so I want to give my overview on this because I've always said that FNAF 3 is one of the most unbalanced games in the Five Nights at Freddy's trilogy, and quadrilogy, I'm sorry. A lot of people seem to think that it's the worst in the series, and to some extent I do agree with them. Right, let's meet the call. I mean, it's got a very, very different atmosphere, it has to be said, than the original games, but I think it's strayed too far away from the conventions of Five Nights at Freddy's. For example, it still has the security cam, but now there's two things you have to monitor. So now you have the this system restart, and I think the system restart plus the hallucinations plus Springtrap just makes the game really unbalanced on later nights. It does need a lot of refinement. So for example, if the camera systems go offline and Springtrap is going through a vent, it's just bad luck. And this game, even though it seems to be quite skill based, and when I first saw it, it seemed that there was a lot of strategy involved, there is a lot of problems with the luck base. And also, I'm not a fan of the static, or the static is quite nice, but it's a fact of the visibility is a big problem because Springtrap just happens to blend into the background. So whenever you die, it doesn't feel like you generally screwed up. It just feels like bad luck, and it just feels like the death was broken, and to some extent, it wasn't your fault, so to speak. In some cases, it might be because you caught him at the wrong time, or just simply he was at the wrong place at the wrong time, or say for example he's in that vent. If you double click it, it takes time to seal, but I think that seal should be instant. So say for example he is in there, you can quickly whack it and it will do the job. So it's just little things like that that will make it a bit less broken, so to speak. And also there are times when Springtrap can be here. You call him on this, and then he'll just disappear. And surely you should just do that when the camera's on. And then you've got like hallucinations like Foxy, who will come here, and will jump at you, cause your ventilation to go. You've then got Freddy, who will walk across there. Chica can be activated using this one here. I still remember what we did, and there's like to get the true ending, you have to like click a load of posters and you have to do a load of bloody things, and it's just, I don't know, I think Scott focused too much on the lore for this game. I think that in terms of story, FNAF 3 is the best of the best, but in terms of gameplay, it's the worst. Mechanically, it's the second worst in the main trilogy, the first being FNAF 4, but if we're counting spin-offs, I'd say FNAF World, even though it's a technological achievement, had a lot of problems on release, and a lot of things just weren't in the final version. One thing that I think would have really helped, and one thing I would have liked to see Scott do, is like a GUI disabler, similar to what we use in One Night Flumpty. So you'd have a button, you click it, and all this would go away, so you could get a clear view of what you're seeing. Something like that would be a good idea, and that's something I would have liked to have seen Scott implement. Obviously I'm rambling on FNAF 1 because there's absolutely nothing here. There's absolutely nothing here to kill us, so we'll literally just wait until 6 AM. Because they only find Spring Bonnie in the second night, so the first night is just down to you trying to get to grips with the trying to get to grips with the controls and all the gizmos. You didn't get that in FNAF 1 or 2. I mean, in both games, the animatronics were moving on the first night, albeit at a vastly reduced rate, and it served as more of an introduction to the series, as opposed to, here, look at all this crap we've made. And that's really... I think that FNAF 3 should have followed suit, because the first night is just boring, to be honest. Okay, we're on to the second night. Let's turn Phone Dude off. For some reason, Scott went with like a... Because obviously Phone Guy dies in the second game. And this first game, sorry. And, there's Springtrap.
Hello?
And because this game canonically takes place after the events of Five Nights at Freddy's 1, he gave him like this surfer dude voice, which I just think is hilarious because you can tell it's Scott, but Scott is trying to not act like Scott. So it's like, hey man, look at this scary animatronic we found. That's exactly what it's like. So that's literally what it is. You got to use the BB voice to lure him, but you can only lure him if he is adjacent. So say for example, I wanted to lure him to cam 7. I couldn't do that because he's in cam 10. But if I wanted to lure him to cam 9, I could because he's adjacent. He'll also try and use the vents, so you've got to keep up with that, because if he gets into cam 14's vent or cam 15's vent, that goes straight to your office. He's moved.
Hello?
And obviously you get the video errors, so you have to go to here, click on it, and then you have to reboot it. If all of them screw up, you have to reboot everything. I think each one of these individually takes about 3 seconds to reboot. And then it's a fact of, you need to keep your eyes peeled for where he is. Again, this is only the second night. That is true. And then rebooting everything takes about 7 seconds, and you should only do that. There's a ventilation now. You should only do that if all 3 of them are down, because like I said, it's got 3 seconds for one of them. If you hit 2, that's still only going to be like, it's going to be an extra second, but it means that, say for example you thought use the audio devices to work. Yeah, you see what I mean about broken. I couldn't see BB, I had no reason to believe he was there, and then he just shows up. It's like I've seen in Markiplier's playthroughs, you can be looking here, at this wall, and Freddy will go past, and because his programming isn't very good, he attacked him. Okay, lovely. Right, so we've got an audio error. If you're wondering how he did the text effect, he did it in Photoshop, so he'd make the text really light green, but then he'd have like a green, it's like a neon effect, which is what I've used in some of my texts. Right, Springtrap is staying in that vent for an awfully long time. Okay, let's move him back to cam 10, then do cam 14. It's interesting actually, because Phone Dude mentions the reason they have cameras is to make sure that nobody steals anything or makes out in the corner, but then states that, but then you got cameras in the vent. I mean, why would there be cameras in the ventilation system, if that's the sole purpose of them, to be honest? Because realistically, no one's really going to go into the vents apart from small children. And, you know, trapping them... Well, okay, I suppose trapping them is going to do good. But then wouldn't it just be better to have, like, covers? And another interesting point I think that needs to be made is where exactly are these vents? Because you can't actually see them in the camera view. From what I can see. With the exception of here. That might be a vent. Right, he's there. Right. I mean, sometimes Foxy will turn up there. The way to get rid of Foxy is to go right, pull the camera up. Oh god damn it, ventilation error. okay, he's there, that's fine. The ventilation error also, for some reason, causes multiple spring traps to appear, which, I know, it makes no sense, but there you go. I guess it's just like the hallucinogenic factor, and wants it to seem like you're really hallucinating. And also, for some reason, the static doesn't go all the way on the screen, so there's little bits of areas which aren't covered by the static. Again, there's a lot of things Scott could have done to improve this game, but basically I could just sum up my entire points I've made in this entire video with Scott should have left more than 3 months to develop this game. And this game was hyped to all hell, remember. This game was touted as one of the best in the series, but what we actually ended up with was a okay-ish FNAF game. I mean, there were teasers coming out every single bloody day, and everyone's saying, oh, it's going to be the best game of the FNAF series by far, but that's the main reason why people were disappointed, was because it was basically FNAF, but it was just different in some regards, and it felt horribly unpolished. I think if this game came out around May, June time last year, around the same time that FNAF 4 was released, I think the game would have been much more polished, much better made, and I think it would have got a better reception. Believe it or not, actually, FNAF 4 was so poor at release, I actually considered refunding it, because that was around the time that the Steam refunds had recently just been introduced. Alright, well that's it for this episode of RenderTech Classic. Thank you very much for listening to me ramble about this game for about 15 minutes or however long it's been. We'll be doing FNAF 4 in the next episode, and then we'll probably do FNAF World. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Take care, everyone.